Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to the Buffett and Beyond Research Saturday ETF report. And this is December 6th, 2025. And wow, we're into the holiday season. And yeah, November was a tough month. And we're beginning December like the market is just waiting for the Federal Reserve to come out this week and say they're going to lower interest rates. So it's kind of standing still right now. And remember, if you want to live on this beach like Jimmy Buffett once did, you've got to learn how to invest even better than Warren Buffett does now. So let's look at the ETFs, the popular ETFs, most of them in the S&P group of ETFs, and we will see this is year to date, and gold continues to lead the group. Now, these are all ETFs that we're talking about. And next is the semiconductor ETF, then the technology ETF. Then we have the NASDAQ 100, which is up about actually 20% right now, or 21% right now, because I took this the other day. The industrial utility surprised us, and we talked about that a couple of issues ago, about why are the utilities doing so well this year? One of those stocks is up about 70-something%. And the reason is because there's a lot of building going on with the utilities to supply electricity to all those AI build-outs. So, yeah, there's a lot going on in the utilities. And will it last? Who knows? But this is a huge, huge jump for the utilities in this particular year right here. Now, the S&P is up about 16%, 16.5% as of this morning. Pre-market is down a little bit, but look what's starting to come back, healthcare. So that's a good sign. Finally, this area that has been just beaten up is now starting to come back a little bit. Not here we are down here, not like crazy, but at least it's coming back a little bit. All the way down here is housing. Poor housing just can't get out of its way. So that's very, very tough. There's a lot of houses that remain on the markets. They're talking about assumable mortgages, which I can remember I bought my first house so long ago and it had an assumable mortgage on it. And we just took it over at a low interest rate. So that was pretty nice. The banks get hurt on that a little bit, depending on which way the interest rates are going. But maybe housing will pick up sooner or later because it just has not done so well. So once again, semiconductor, which we're always talking about, technology, which we're always talking about, and the NASDAQ 100, which are the QQQs right over here. NASDAQ 100 has been doing very, very well this year. So let's take a look at how the top stocks. Now remember, our whole clean surplus methodology says we can take any index and we can very probably outperform that index because the clean surplus methodology allows us to take the best stocks or find the stocks that are growing the fastest and compare them with other stocks. So in other words, if we have an ETF and you take all the stocks in that ETF, half of them are going to be better than the other half. So we try and find that half or those group of stocks that we think will outperform all the others. And let's see how we have done this year to date. So again, we're looking at December 5th, actually. And I just want to bring out before we get into that, research over 3 months. We're looking at September, October, and November. And November was just not a very good month. Usually it's an excellent month. But this year it has just been yuck. Yeah, down a couple of percent. So anyway, over the past 3 months, gold again, semiconductors. Here's that healthcare. Healthcare has just started coming back. And we can see from the last slide, let's go there. Healthcare, down here, 13.36%. This is for the whole year this year. And right now, healthcare for the past 3 months up 12.5%. So almost all of the returns for healthcare have come in the past 3 months. So that's something just to keep an eye on, and we will keep an eye on. And technology also got hurt during November. And we thought that semiconductors really got hurt in November, but they started coming back quite a bit, and they're still up 18% for 3 months. Folks, that's a whole year's worth of work in a good market. And here's the S&P up 5% over the past 3 months. So what's lagging down here over the past 3 months? Housing just continues to get worse and worse. But boy, oh boy, there's still some good stocks in there, and they're hanging on. And a lot of them are getting involved with this AI build out and all those AI centers for the cloud. All those computers, they need a lot of electricity, but some of the builders are going into that area where they're needed to build these AI build-outs that they're talking about and have started. And some of them are just about complete now. So they've got a backlog of several years of building these AI build-outs. And some of the housing stocks are getting in that. So not all the housing stocks are bad, just housing itself is. But some of those companies are getting into the other, not other areas, but they still have to, the AI build-outs still have to put in air conditioning systems and piping systems, and that's where the builders do come in. So let us look at the returns of the top stocks that we've picked in, we're looking at 5 different areas here, or 6 different areas, and we'll see how our top stocks have returned. Now, I don't have the top stocks listed here, and the reason is because we are coming out, hopefully this coming week, with all the top stocks in the ETFs that we follow. So we're coming out with the portfolio top 30 stocks. We're coming out with the dividend and growth portfolio top stocks. And let's get into the ETFs here. So the XLK, the technology, was up. The ETF itself was up 25.8%. The top stocks that we picked in the XLK, there are 6 or 7 of them, we're looking at 50% right here. So we have doubled the ETF itself. And down here you can see this is the S&P. So the S&P returned 16%, so we can compare the returns, our returns, to the S&P, which is having a really pretty good year this year. So 16% for the S&P, and the semiconductor ETF up 36%. Our top stocks up an unbelievable 82.8%. So that's really rocking in that semiconductor area. So if you're in the right stocks, you're doing well. If you're not in the right stocks, you're not doing well. It's that simple. But this is our top performing portfolio this year, semiconductors up 82.8%, where the index itself, the XXD semiconductor ETF, up 36%, which is still more than double the S&P 500. But down to healthcare. Healthcare is up 13.4%. The top stocks that we picked up 16.8%. So even the top stocks have had a bit of a trouble. Home builders are up only 3%. And this is as of the other day, and the top stocks that we picked for the home builders up 16%. That's a big difference in there. So, well, it's up as much as the S&P 500 is, which is very commendable this year, to say the least. Now let's go to the NASDAQ 100, up 22%. Our top stocks up 20%. So we're keeping pace with that. And our top stocks over the past 6 years are up almost 400% in this portfolio, and our ETF sector all-stars also up almost over 400%. But this year, keeping pace with the S&P 500, yeah, as long as we're beating the S&P 500, and with the NASDAQ doing better as it usually does. The only thing, it's more volatile than the S&P 500. So I'm talking about the NASDAQ 100, which are the QQQs over here. And that portfolio usually outperforms the S&P 500. but is more volatile. Why? Because the NASDAQ 100 has a lot of these stocks in it, semiconductors and technology stocks. So when you look at the returns of our top stocks, just by looking at our portfolio, which we hope to be out this coming week, and all those portfolios with the top stocks in them will be out for those of you who subscribe to the ETF letter. The other portfolios will be out for those of you who subscribe to the 30 stock portfolio and the dividend growth and income portfolio, which is our normal subscription. So folks, yeah, we're doing very, very well this year. And it's been a tough year because of the tariff information that happened in the beginning of the year, where the stocks went down over 20-something% in about 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks. It was more like a couple of days. No, it was a couple of weeks actually. But that was very, very scary indeed. No, because there were so many unknowns. The market does not like unknowns. But our portfolios have done very, very well, and especially the semiconductor portfolio, which is just doing fantastically. So, folks, we're having a pretty good year this year. November was not very good at all. December is just holding its breath until the Federal Reserve comes out this coming Wednesday and lets us know about interest rates and what they see going forward. And the market is starting to worry about the economy a little bit because of the job loss numbers that, well, we don't have the official job loss numbers from the government because the government's been shut down. So it's back open now, so we're not sure when we're going to get those numbers. But the private agencies, the information agencies, are doing a very, very good job, but they're showing that there is a job loss, and therefore, I should say, not as many jobs created as they thought there were going to be. And there were fewer jobs created than there were last month. So we're looking at a weaker market as long as the Federal Reserve comes in and helps along with the lower interest rates. That will certainly help the economy. And we still have a little bit of inflation we have to worry about. So those are the decisions that we'll hear about this coming Wednesday, folks. So hang on to your hats, and you all go out there and get into the holiday spirit, folks. Forget about the market. Just enjoy yourselves. Be with your family. Most of all, stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you back here in a couple of days.